Good morning, young persons. Welcome back to the high school woodshop. We're making a series of videos where we're going to go over the machines, the materials, and the techniques that we use in the high school woodshop. In this segment, taking a look at the router table. What we have here is a sweet Porter cable variable speed router mounted to the bottom of this Craig router table. It works fine, lasts a long time, it won't rust, bust, or collect dust. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the parts and pieces on this machine. It is a router, it cuts wood, and it does that with a cutter. This is the bit right here that does the work. That bit spins super fast, about 20,000 RPM. It will remove whatever you touch against it. Wood, fingers, fingernails. There's not much that's going to slow that bit down. So we're going to talk about it. We'll be using this machine in the wood shop a lot. This is the bit guard, and basically this just keeps stuff from coming back up into your face as you're using the machine. This is the black thing is the insert plate, and this is what the router itself is actually mounted to from underneath. We have a fence here. It's not necessary to be used with every specific bit. Some bits, a fence is not necessary. We have a miter slot here where we can run a miter gauge. On the end over here, we have a handle that blocks the fence in place. Fence lock. This is the fence lock. This surface here, of course, is what we call the table, and the power switch is underneath. This is the router mounted underneath the router table. This is the power switch right here. Want to use the router table? First step is you're going to prepare yourself. If you're tired, sick, under the influence, not using this machine today, you're going to take a seat at the table. Must wear safety glasses, of course, using this machine. If you came to class wearing flip-flops or sandals, open-toe shoes, those must be changed into closed-toe shoes, hopefully of some solid construction, before you leave the table to come work. Second step is preparing the machine. First thing you're going to do is make sure that you have the correct bit in there for what you're trying to do. They make 100 different bits to put a different profile on the edge of a wood. What we have on there right now is a square bit, like for making a channel, like this channel right here, in wood, of course. Once you have the correct bit in, you're going to make sure that there are no wrenches left in the machine. It takes a couple of wrenches to change that bit. So we're going to make sure the wrenches have been removed, bit secure. We have the guard in place. Then we're going to set this fence at the appropriate distance if the fence is needed. Probably need to attach a vacuum to it too, it's going to be messy. Step number 3, we're going to check the material. You're going to want to make sure your material doesn't have any staples, nails, screws, embedded rocks, a knot that might be coming loose. Those things may cause damage to the bit. Material you're going to run through the machine must be flat on one side so that it sits on the table without rocking to go through this machine. Usually you're going to have the second side, the adjoining side, also be flat, straight, and true. Not always. Material must be at least 6 inches long to go through the router table. Step number 4, use the machine correctly. Never start the router with the material already touching the bit. It will be memorable if you do that. On the router table I have these arrows, and the arrows all point that direction. And the reason why is because the bit turns counterclockwise when you're looking straight down at it. So we want to run the material through opposing that direction. That means the material always goes from right to left. Always from right to left. The insert plate has a red ring that fits around the bit. It should be a lot closer to the bit than this one. This one that I have installed is wrong. So here in my safety video, I'm going to show you the wrong way to do it. That's awesome. When running your material through the machine, do not allow your fingers to get any closer to the bit than where this red ring is at. If necessary, we will have push blocks available so that you can run your material through if it's going to cause your fingers to come too close to the bit. Do not overload or bog down the speed of the motor. It's going to leave burn marks on your wood. You need to use a reasonably slow, consistent feed rate to prevent burn marks on your material. If you're going to be removing a lot of material to do what you're trying to do, it's better to make several light cuts than to try to do one heavy cut and get it done a little bit faster. Step number 5, deal with the unexpected. With this machine, it's very safe to use. However, the bit spins at 20,000 RPM and it will slice through the hardest piece of wood in this room effortlessly. So it's going to go through your fingernail and the bone on the end of your finger like nothing. There'll just be a little puff of red mist in the air and your finger will be gone. There's not going to be any miraculous laser surgeries to reattach your finger, because your finger is just going to be a little mist. It'll be gone. So pay attention. It's a very safe machine to use if you're paying attention. Don't mess around. Don't be a distraction, and don't let anybody distract you from what you're doing here. It just take a second, a moment of being distracted, of taking your eyes, your thoughts, and your mind off what you're doing right here to turn to something else, and you're going to have a life-changing, significant personal event happen. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and try to talk to you. Don't do it. I do not have any lasers mounted in the ceiling that are going to shoot down and warn you when your finger's getting too close to that bit. The bit spins very fast. Don't let your fingers get close to it. Step number 6, use common sense. This machine will remove material from the wood. It does it with great precision. If you understand how the machine works, if you've practiced, if you know, then you should be comfortable using this machine. If something doesn't sound right, doesn't look right, doesn't feel right, stop. Don't do it. It's not worth it. This is just a high school wood shop. Don't hurt yourself because you were not sure of what you were supposed to do, because you weren't sure of what was going to happen next. I expect when you're using this machine, as well as any other machine in here, that you know what you're doing, you know what's going to happen as the machine is working, and you know what's going to happen next. If you're not, stop. Take it easy. It's not going to affect your grade. Come and ask me. I will repeat myself 100 times to help you use the machine safely and effectively so we can make some cool stuff. It's totally worth it. Listen to me. Listen carefully to me. Follow my directions. You will not get hurt in my shop. What are your questions? I think that's it. I think we can do something cool.